You know, every country has a story. But what if I told you that a nation's entire destiny, its golden age, its massive empire, its centuries of conflict, could all be traced back to just one single, explosive year? A year that didn't just shape a country, but literally redrew the map of the world.
That year, it's 1492. For Spain, this isn't just some date in a history book. Oh no, it's the axis on which its entire history spins. It's the key to understanding everything that came before, and the catalyst for everything that came after.
So that's the big question we're going to tackle together. How is that even possible? To really get modern Spain, we have to unlock the secrets of this one incredible year and see how three seismic events crashed into each other to create a brand new world.
See, the thing about 1492 is it wasn't just one thing that happened. It was three world-shattering events, all converging on Spain at the exact same moment. It was the perfect storm of change.
Just think about this for a second. An 800-year war just ends. An entire population is forced out of the country, and, oh yeah, a voyage accidentally stumbles upon two undiscovered continents, all at once. This was the Big Bang that created a global empire. But to understand the explosion, we gotta go way, way back to the beginning.
Okay, so long before anyone even called it Spain, the Iberian Peninsula was basically the hottest piece of real estate in the ancient world. It was a prize, a crossroads that all the great powers wanted a piece of, for thousands of years.
You had Phoenicians, Greeks, Carthaginians, and of course the Romans. It was like a revolving door of empires. Each one came, conquered, and left something behind. Rome turned it into Hispania, giving it a language and laws. Then, as Rome crumbled, the Germanic Visigoths swept in, trying to hold it all together. But then, in the year 711, a new power showed up and changed the game completely.
An army of Arabs and Berbers, led by Tariq ibn Ziyad, crossed the strait from North Africa. And they didn't just conquer the old kingdom. They kicked off a whole new era, creating a civilization that would become a shining light for the rest of the world.
And they gave this land a new name, Al-Andalus. For the next several hundred years, it was, without a doubt, the most advanced society in Europe, a place of incredible innovation, art, and culture.
The beating heart of Al-Andalus was the city of Córdoba. Now, get this. While most of Europe was, in the Dark Ages, Córdoba was a booming metropolis. We're talking paved streets, streetlights, huge libraries. It had universities that scholars from all over the world flocked to.
And the secret sauce behind all this? It was an idea called la convivencia, or coexistence. For a while, Muslims, Christians, and Jews lived together in relative harmony, sharing knowledge. You had great minds like the Muslim philosopher Averroes and the Jewish scholar Maimonides working side by side, making these giant leaps in medicine, math, and even farming.
So, you have this incredible civilization, this beacon for the whole world. It seems impossible that it could all just vanish. How on earth does something like that just collapse? Well, the answer comes down to two things: division from within and ambition from without.
See, while Al-Andalus was thriving down south, the small Christian kingdoms up in the northern mountains, they never gave up. They started this slow, grinding campaign to push south. This became known as the Reconquista. It was a war for land, sure, but it was also a religious crusade to take back the peninsula for Christianity.
And here's where things really start to flip. The unified power of Al-Andalus eventually shattered, breaking up into these smaller, rival kingdoms called taifas. They were fighting each other just as much as they were fighting the Christians. Meanwhile, the Christian kingdoms in the north were doing the exact opposite. They were teaming up, getting stronger, and unifying.
The real knockout punch, though, that came in 1212 at the Battle of Las Navas de Tolosa. A united Christian army absolutely crushed the Muslim forces. After that, it was pretty much a domino effect for Al-Andalus. Eventually, only one last stronghold was left: Granada.
And that brings us right back to 1492. When Granada finally fell to Queen Isabella and King Ferdinand, the Reconquista was officially over. But this victory didn't lead to peace. Nope. It was like popping a champagne cork. All that energy, built up over centuries, just exploded out onto the world stage, creating a global empire at a dizzying speed.
Literally, the same year Granada falls, Columbus is sailing west. The discovery of the Americas, followed by the conquests of the Aztec and Inca empires, flooded Spain with wealth beyond anyone's wildest dreams. All that silver and gold from the New World fueled its rise as the world's very first global superpower.
Under powerful rulers like Charles V, Spain controlled huge territories all across Europe and the Americas. It was so massive that people famously started calling it the empire on which the sun never set.
And all this money, this imperial power, it also funded this incredible explosion of culture, known as the Spanish Golden Age. This is when you get geniuses like Miguel de Cervantes writing Don Quixote, and painters like Diego Velázquez creating their absolute masterpieces.
But here's the catch. Running an empire is crazy expensive. Spain was fighting constant wars all over Europe. Think of the famous Spanish Armada sailing against England. All that fighting started to bleed the empire dry. And ironically, that flood of silver that made them rich, it also caused massive inflation back home, which kind of crippled the economy from the inside out.
So, falling from that high, it was a long, messy process. The centuries that followed were just a whirlwind of conflict and change as Spain tried to figure out its place in this new world that it had helped create.
The 1800s and 1900s, they were just brutal for Spain. Napoleon invaded, which led to them losing almost all of their colonies. Then came the absolutely devastating Spanish Civil War in 1936, a fight that tore the country to pieces. That was followed by almost 40 years of dictatorship under Francisco Franco. But when he finally died in 1975, Spain made a choice to go down a completely different road.
And what happened next was honestly remarkable. A totally peaceful shift to democracy. Today, Spain is a modern, vibrant member of the European Union. It's a nation that celebrates its incredibly rich regional cultures, from Catalonia to Andalusia. It's had its share of challenges for sure, but through it all, it has kept moving forward.
When you look at it, Spain's story is it's an incredible lesson in history. From a Roman province to an Islamic caliphate, from a global empire to a modern democracy. It's a story of how cultures can clash and fuse and create something totally new. It just goes to show how the events of one single year can ripple through centuries, and how a nation, truly forged in fire, can always find a way to reinvent itself.